Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. How you doing? My name is Curtis, and today we have a brand new guest on. We have Stephen from Baire Clothing. How you doing, sir?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good, mate. I'm good. Good having you on.
Thanks for having me.
You've been one of these people that I've been dying to get on, especially as a new start business, something totally different in the Renfrewshire area. So could you even give me a wee introduction as to who you are, my friend?
So I'm Stephen, just like you said there. I've recently started a clothing brand called Baire Clothing. And pretty much the reason for starting it was just I was fed up with the same clothing that was coming out, and I was getting into a kind of scenario where I was buying all the designer clobber and spending hundreds of money, and I just get fed up with it, and I decided I want to bring out my own brand.
On funding a rabbit hole.
Aye, that was it, mate. So that's kind of where it started. But so it's coming up for 2. The brand will be 2 in this month.
Wow.
So it has been a quick 2 years. Yeah,
that's mental. And I feel like you've just in the past few months catapulted yourself to be really well known.
Yep.
Your presence as well. Like, I mean, I didn't know about the clothing. We were kind of speaking about that off camera.
Yeah.
But now that I've seen it once, I'm like, I see it everywhere. And I'm seeing so many people wearing obviously your clothes. I don't see your designer gear. You're wearing all your clothes and stuff like that. But so, how did the Baire come about?
So it's kind of just like I said there. It was when you're in your teens, you get stuck in that. You need to wear all designer gear before you go out night suit. And I'd said for years to my girlfriend, I want to do something in fashion. I always want to do something in fashion. And then
so you've had a kind of passion for that beforehand?
Always, although if you've seen some of my style through the years, it's been absolutely short. But so I'd always said I wanted to do something, and then I get stuck in I go a career sort of thing, and you know what happens, your kind of aspirations fade away. And for years I just sat on it, never done it. And then it was around about COVID time. We just came at the end of COVID. I just bought a house. So it's when we moved into the house and everybody had this spare time. And then I was like, I'm going to start this. And to be honest, if it wasn't for my girlfriend pushing me, she's got her own business in Paisley for years. And she kept pushing me and saying, right, do this. And then I had free time and just started sketching stuff down. And that's when I come up with Baire. The name behind it is Baire, as in Baire, like minimal.
That was one of my questions. That's brilliant. You answered that.
No, that was pretty much where it was coming from. So if you look at the designs, they're pretty much all kind of simplistic. There's no much going on. I've had a couple to change it up, like we've done like an NBA design that had quite a lot going on, but that is predominantly where it came from. Baire. That was the whole concept behind it.
No, and I think one thing I do like about your clothing is different. I think it's so different to what it is now. Now I am a man who likes my prints. I'm not wearing anything at the moment. I am in my work gear. Let's say
totally Baire.
I'm totally Baire. I'm totally Baire. But one thing I did like about yours was it wasn't just the same for everything. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes minimal is better than having so much flashy designs and things. As you can say, that if that's your style, then 100% go for it, definitely, and go for it to your heart's content. But I think it's so different to see something like this in Renfrewshire. There's nothing like this.
So that's pretty much like if you obviously look back, the first sort of collection stuff was totally Baire. Like there was nothing on it at all. It was just blanks. But then people did start to request more designs, and it was how I then incorporate that into still keeping in with the concept of it being Baire and minimal. So it's a bit of a challenge to try and obviously have a print on it, but it's still, I like to see it as like clean streetwear. Like, so it's like you could wear it so many different scenarios. You could wear it out with your pals, you could wear it going out for dinner with the missus, you could wear it just out doing shopping. So that's kind of what I envision it being, and try to get the designs to keep that kind of Baire like simplistic look. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
I love that, mate, because I mean, my partner can vouch for me. The amount of times that I've said I need to get some t-shirts for having like that kind of, I need to have t-shirts for going out, I need to have t-shirts for just kind of lounging about, whatever, I need to have that. Whereas I feel like you've created something that is like that still has that high quality value to it. You know what I mean? With the design and things, but you could just wear it casually as well. So that's one of the ones I could see myself, like, I mean, out for a meal and all that, out with the boys and stuff like that. But I could also see myself, if I'm just out in a day shopping, I can have my Baire clothing on.
That was that and all. You said, you talked there, you touched on like value. I know I says I was kind of into like designer clothing and stuff like that. I felt like the fabrics were just we're paying extreme amounts of money for just stuff that was garbage, to be honest. And that's something that I've installed in the business, and I think it is now starting to come to the forefront that people are realizing how good the quality is. Like I know we're probably going to go and speak about prices and stuff like that, but the quality of the clothing is, I would say it's up there with the best brands in the UK, if not Europe. I genuinely believe that.
I think that's a big thing when it is you're selling clothing. You've got to believe that your stuff is the best that people should be buying. And I think you come across with that kind of philosophy that it is. You know what I mean? And I mean, I've got to give it to you. I've seen on your socials the reviews and things from customers, and it's outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And the amount of people I've seen reviewing it as well, because a lot of businesses where people buy stuff they don't actually hear anything from the business.
Try to
get people back to you and trying to get the actual word out there, because how are other people meant to buy if they don't? I think one thing that you have done is captured a good audience or community as such of people that are really invested in Baire Clothing.
No, definitely.
So let's take it right back to the very start.
Okay.
How did you find the starting up process? You've just touched on why you've called it Baire, right? So you've done that. How did you find the actual starting up process of beginning with Baire?
Murder. Honestly, mate, it was murder. I've got absolutely no fashion background at all. Like nothing. I've never been to uni. I've never been to college. I've no design expertise either. So like, I'm designing this stuff. I don't even have that. So it was literally sitting on Google how to start a clothing brand, how to start a streetwear brand. For hours, monotonous, sitting in front of the computer. How to do this? How to do this? And I eventually came across it was like an agency, like a startup agency. They were branded as a startup agency for streetwear.
Right. Okay.
And got in contact with them, and they basically took you for like a sketch. You basically sketched out what you were looking for, and they could get it to the end product. But I basically sketched out my stuff, and they told me it was shite. It wouldn't work.
Listen, you've got to start somewhere.
You're
absolutely fine. We're all adults, don't worry.
So they basically told me it wouldn't work. But they told me stick with it. My designs, they basically totally stripped it back and they changed it, and it wasn't even what I originally drew or what I had in my head. So I was obviously getting peeved off with that. And
I think as well, because somebody's taking your vision and basically telling you that
I was
it's wrong.
And you're paying good money for it.
I was going to say,
I was paying good money for
it.
To get told it was shit.
Somebody for London, probably.
And I basically kind of used it to my advantage. So I was like just asking questions, and so where do you get the stuff made? And I basically just pickpocketed information and then just cut that agency out the middle.
So you're basically doing a wee bit of networking.
Aye, pretty much.
Which is something that you probably don't have a lot with when you're doing clothing as such. Yeah, you can have like, you know what I mean? Like I go to a couple of different things and it'll be like council related and it'll be like all the jobs and stuff for council. Yep. But when do you hear of having a chance to actually go to like those that are interested in that kind of fashion and stuff, like to meet up and stuff, probably at a fashion show? Aye, definitely. But there's none of that around this neck of the woods.
No. So that's basically, I just kind of cut them out and then I used the connections, and that's kind of where I fund my channel into finding the fabrics and finding the manufacturers and that kind of stuff. And it's just so happened that the manufacturers that I'm using are manufacturing for like the biggest brands in the UK. So that's exactly where I wanted to be, and it kind of put me in a position where I didn't expect to be so quickly. Like I thought at the start it would have to be like I'd have to build myself up to the quality, but for day dot it has been the quality that I wanted, and I think that's been a good seller for the brand.
I think that's brilliant, mate. I think you have this vision in your head, and you're not willing to let other people determine how you see it being portrayed. And I think that's one of the things that you've stuck to your guns, and it's obviously paid off as well, because I think what you're doing and the quality of your clothing, it looks top drawer. I mean, I'm looking at that now, and I would just think, I mean, if you didn't have Baire on it, I'd be like, that's a t-shirt. I mean, the quality of it looks nice and fitting as well. And visually, it looks good as well.
You know, that was, I don't know if I say this on this here, right? But that was one of the biggest things for me. Like, see, I was talking about obviously years ago. I've got this thing, right, where I feel I've got a very thin neck.
Right, okay.
Right? So,
a thin neck.
Honestly, people tell me all the time, I'm actually got to sit like this. but it was my neck, right? So I used to buy t-shirts all the time, and I would always say to my missus, like, these t-shirts are too big around my neck, and nobody could understand what I was talking about until I eventually seen a brand called Buxton. They had made what is called like a mock neck. So, and that's kind of, as soon as I seen that, I was like, I knew this was a thing. Like, so obviously I had no fashion experience, so
Right,
I didn't know how to explain to somebody my neck's too thin. You need to make a t-shirt that's no for thin.
I've never done that. My neck's too thin.
Honestly, mate. So then
I feel like my neck's too big. To be fair.
so they basically that was kind of, as soon as I seen their t-shirts, I knew that's the kind of t-shirt that I want to make. That's where this sort of shapes came from, and then the whole boxy scenario. And I've always been obsessed with how like clothing fits. So I remember like years ago, like seeing somebody in his t-shirt was like, I explain it like drapes perfectly, like that's. And I remember seeing that, and I always wanted that, and that's how the t-shirts are like this boxy like drape fit.
I would say that as well, because obviously with a lot of folk now, obviously we're all different body sizes, we're all different body shapes and things, and I tend to pick up, if I'm picking up something, I'll tend to get two sizes of it, and I'll return the one that basically fits or whatever, because I'm very conscious of the way I feel in a t-shirt, so I'd like to obviously feel comfortable with what I'm wearing, and I do like the kind of boxy. I tend to find myself buying a wee bit more oversized stuff. I don't know if that's just doing to me kind of consciously doing that, but as I say, the feedback that you're receiving, it seems as if
it's unbelievable, to be honest with you. Like, I recently got like wee cards made, like wee thank you cards, and I put them in every order.
I've seen that.
And on it, that's kind of, it says that I want it to be like a community of like-minded people, and that's kind of, like you said just a minute ago, I feel I've kind of tapped into that. See the amount of people that go on, and I know we were talking about people that have been on and reviewed the stuff. That helps so much. Like, you would never believe. Like,
I don't realise how much it helps.
I think
I like, a share, honestly, that pushing it out to people on your socials, whether it be your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikToks. You don't realise the impact it has on businesses of any size as such, you know what I mean? It's massive.
And I think for the sort of business that I run, see, unless you see somebody you know wearing it, you're not going to buy it. You just think, oh, that's nobody's wearing that. But see, until you see somebody in your street or in your town wearing it, and somebody's actually went on and posted a review, then it starts to get your mind moving, and you're like, do you know what? I want one of them.
There's a mentality thing there. You know what I mean? You see something and you go, I like that, I want it. I want it. And you might have close friends that have got it as well, and you're like, I want it.
You know, I don't wear my stuff. See if I go, like, I know I don't even go in night suit anymore, but see if I do with my pals, I can't wear the brand because everybody's wearing it. It's unbelievable.
Does that become a point then where you're like, oh my god, everybody's wearing my stuff?
I need to design stuff so far in advance so nobody else has got it.
Oh, it's brilliant. That's like Kanye West level. That's like easy stuff there, mate. That's class. So you've kind of talked about how you kind of source your products. You were talking about different manufacturers. Is it different manufacturers that you use?
No. So at the moment, everything is all centralised, and the reason that I've done that is just too many fingers in the pie. Like, I had things coming through all different places, and stuff was all different, and there's so many things that I've obviously had to just learn. Like, I remember the first t-shirts I done, and I know it's kind of stupid, but I didn't even think about like shrinkages, like seeing people wash it, it's going to shrink. So
that's a big thing, aye, definitely
massive, mate. So I brought out these t-shirts, and they were perfect to start with, but when you washed them, they got smaller. So for some people, they didn't fit. So I then made it my goal to make them pre-shrunk before you buy them. Wow. So I get them made bigger, and then I get them shrunk, so that when you buy it, it's the final product. Things like that.
Just there's so much to the backing of it.
People gatekeep that kind of stuff. I mean, people don't like to tell you this sort of stuff to start it.
Oh, aye. How many times have you bought something, especially from companies like, I'm just going to use example, Nike and things like that, you know what I mean, very big company, and you do happen to buy your t-shirt one wash later, and you're like,
oh, done.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I didn't put that weight on last week, did I? You know what I mean? Was that just over a week? No, and I think that you, like, I could sit and obviously ask questions for days about the background stuff, but it seems like there's just so much more to it than what it is just getting a t-shirt and buying it and getting somebody to design it and stuff like that, because it seems like you're literally doing everything.
Genuinely everything, mate. And I'm so anal about it as well. Like, see, when I get all the t-shirts, like, I shouldn't even need to do this, but I sit with a measuring tape and I measure sleeve length, body length, the width, the neck to make sure it fits me.
It just shows you care, though. It just shows you care.
I wouldn't sell something that I wouldn't wear myself. That's generally how I feel about it. But it's obviously going to get to a point where
I need to measure my neck. See what size I'm. Getting neck conscious now.
I know, mate. I've probably started a thing here, everybody.
Anybody listen to this, don't worry, you don't have to measure your necks, you're fine. Oh, brilliant. So, obviously, what kind of products and stuff do you stock then? What's your kind of main things, and what are the things that you've got going on at the moment?
So if you look at the socials now, the best sellers obviously the t-shirts. So this long sleeve t-shirt I've got on now, this is unreleased at the moment. Obviously do some short sleeve versions as well. I've done cargos. That's probably like the main. I don't know.
Such a big thing at the moment as well. Cargos.
So do them as well. Hoodies. I've got caps. Well, caps are all sold out. But that's pretty much it at the moment. Yeah.
That's a credit to what you're doing. Obviously, the fact that you are selling out.
Yeah. A lot of the stock at the moment has been selling out. It's and it's about trying to keep that demand. I think when you see stuff sold out, it creates demand and creates hype. And recently, the last drop that I done, I made the website password protected. So
that's right. I signed up to your thing, so I missed it. But I signed in with I can't remember what the password was. I probably shouldn't say it in case he'd maybe do it again.
No,
was it? This is where you. Is it like surprise or something like that? No. Was it? Contemporary. See, that's too fancy for me. I'm like, surprise.
We'll not use that one again. But that just created so much hype. And that was actually good because I could kind of forecast how many people are interested in the product straight away.
Are you tracking this when you have your website? Do you track the amount of people that go to it? So you know what people are wanting and what the main things are?
I'm not really into like all the analytics yet, but when you scale up, I imagine you probably need to be. Do you know what I mean? You're a really, really big brand. That's kind of stuff that people start to forecast and stuff like that. But I know my best sellers and I know what works. So that's kind of where you need to be looking and you need to be forecasting for next year or whatever.
No, and I think like that as you grow, definitely it's then working on what's working for you and what's not working for you. And I think that's where some businesses go wrong, especially if they're not looking at what is the stuff that they're putting out there, because they can actually use their time better to then go and do more of what everybody's wanting. And I think like that, like you will grow to that, and it looks like you're already starting to do that as well. And I don't think I've seen a bad bit of clothing on your website as well. So you look like you're on a winner already. But one thing I do like is your designs that you come up with, and how you come up with them. Like, do you sit down? Like, is it just literally yourself? Do you take inspiration from things? Like, how do you go about your process within that?
I would pretty much just scour like Instagram, Pinterest, these sort of things. And like I said, it's a minimum contemporary sort of vibe. So I'd be looking for stuff in these sections on Pinterest. Contemporary, minimalistic, simplistic, bare, and just start to put boards together. And you start to then notice trends, and you start to kind of see what you like. And my thing's text. Like I like messing about with text and different fonts. So a lot of my designs you'll see, it's now becoming, it'll say Baire or Baire Atelier or contemporary design, and that's kind of like that's what I've realised that I like. So that'll be predominantly the style, but again, it's trying to keep it that minimalistic look. So that's kind of how I come about it. Obviously, again, I don't have any experience in design or fashion. I sit on the iPad and just sketch away on Procreate.
That's class, mate. I like that. So once you've got your design, let's say you've went away, you've did your design, you're like, right, I'm happy with that. Do you just make that straight away then? Or does that maybe sit in the back burner for you?
You'll probably, like right now, I'm working on summer for next year. So
you're already planning for what's coming?
Summer. The hardest thing is genuinely forecasting colours. Like, it's an absolute nightmare. Like, you really need to be looking at the bigger brands and seeing like what they're doing and try and try and pick colours that people like as well. Or like recently I just put a story up just asking people, because what's better way than just asking your customers?
Asking your customers, definitely.
What do you want from me next year? So I done that, and it's just incorporating designs, and as well like recycling designs. If you see all these big brands, you'll probably find that they'll bring out a design, that design will fly, and then they'll just keep repeating it in different colours. So you might see some of the designs this year will just be out in a different colour.
I was literally just about to say that, because one of the biggest people in the world that does that is Ralph Lauren. In particular, you know what I mean? Maybe not as big as what it was at one point, but it's still a massive.
Polos in every colour.
Polos in every colour, t-shirts in every colour, jumpers in every colour, and it's literally the bare minimum design of the pony. and that'll be just every colour. So would that be something that you'd maybe look to do in later years? Maybe just kind of, so like I like you've released the t-shirts in the, is it sage green and the blue?
Yep.
And you've just kind of got the Baire on it. Would it be looking at maybe doing a red or something like that in the future?
That's pretty much it, mate. So just changing up the colours. My kind of vibe as well is like neutrals. Like I want the brand to be known for, this is like kind of like an off-white colour. That's the kind of colour that I want to push forward as a brand. So it's like a recognisable colour. Like if you see this colour, you're like, that's a Baire t-shirt. But then obviously I will do other colours, but it's I think if it's going to be colour wise, it's going to be kind of like pastel type colours.
Yeah.
That's kind of the colours that I like as well.
Especially when it comes to summertime as well. You know what I mean? The colour's always in summer, you know what I mean? You're maybe looking at a kind of darker colour as you come to autumn and stuff like that, and you'll know better than what I will, but it's just what you tend to see as you sit. Well, I mean, I'm going to trust Matt. I mean, come on. I'm going to trust Matt. My choice. So with your products, do you make them all in-house? And if you do, where are you making them?
They get made in the UK, so they get made in England. So the cotton is milled in the UK and they get made in the UK as well. Designs drop myself, and then I get them. Originally, I was actually printing them myself as well. So there was a studio in Glasgow. You can hire the equipment and do it yourself, but recently, obviously, demand's hyped up. I've got a lot more orders. I don't have the time.
Production becomes a big part of it.
It becomes a serious issue where you've just not got the time or the capacity to print as much. So I then basically again sort of networking. Found a guy who was using the studio, and he now does it for me.
So you've got a partnership there.
So I just basically outsource the printing. So I know it's good. The guy's really good at printing, so I'm happy.
I think that's it. You've looked at, as you say, as your demand grows, your production grows. So you're already a step ahead of. You've kind of ticked off that problem as such. Hopefully it becomes much more busier for you as well, and bigger and stuff like that. And then you won't be doing small podcasts like this. You'll be doing all the big ones. You'll be on Joe Rogan's next. I appreciate that. Mate. I appreciate that. But I can just see your clothing brand just skyrocketing. So, definitely. Mate, I can see it becoming one of those things where you see everybody kicking about in it. Definitely. I think that the brand in itself, the material and things that it looks like, because as I say, I'm sitting across from you, so I'm seeing this with my eyes. That's a high quality t-shirt. It's not just one of the ones that looks like it's going to run out after one wash as well, which again is a credit to you for taking the time, doing the background work, having a passion about it as such. And just because you don't maybe have a background in fashion or whatever, you've grew up with fashion the whole time. Do you know what I mean? You've grew up with all these brands and things like that as well. Because let's be honest, in today's day and world, it's probably hard not to go away without buying something that's designer when you're going out and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It is, everybody either wants to have something designer or craves something designer as well. The amount of people I see kicking about in like Palm Angels and things like that, that's something that puts me off as such, is having too many people doing that.
That's one of the biggest things for me, and I've actually spoke to so many people about this. Like, I don't know what I'll do. See if the brand gets really big and everybody's. I've already said my pals wear it all the time, so it puts me off. I'll end up not wearing it.
It's one of the ones.
I like to be different from everybody else, or I try to be anyway. Yeah. So I see if I see somebody wearing the same thing as me, I don't like that.
That instantly just put you off straight away. That's it. But again, you've got to, I think like that, you've got to take a back seat and be a credit to you that you've managed to create something that there is a demand for there, 100%. How do we find your clothing? Where do we find it? Is it a website you use? Do you sell on Instagram? How would I, as a person, how would I find your Baire Clothing?
Obviously, the main places to find it will be Instagram. Recently started a TikTok as well, and the website, so bairclothing.com, and that's where we sell on there.
Have I been calling this Baire Clothing and it's actually Baire Clo the whole time?
Well, it is Baire Clothing, but the website's called Baire Clo.
Just kind of shortened it, that's fine. Just in case I've sat and called that the whole wrong name this whole podcast. No, that's class, mate. And I think like that, the website and everything looks top drawer as well.
That was made that myself with the help of my girlfriend, just on an app, and because I knew I was looking into getting people to make websites, and it was a fortune, just money I just didn't have, and it's just Wix, it's called.
Yep.
So it's
Massive,
Aye, oh,
massive.
it's massive, and it's so easy. Like, see if there's anybody out there that's looking to kind of just start a website, get Wix. I swear, it's the most simple thing ever.
It's got a lot of
Set up.
tools and things that
A
helps
lot
you.
of tools in the background, and it's instructions and so much help. If you just genuinely just search your website, and it is so easy. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I swear.
I say that all the time. I'm like, if I can do it, anybody
Aye.
can do it. It's one of the ones. So, we were talking. Obviously, you've got a drop coming up. It either might be before this podcast, might be after. We're not sure. This
So-
t-shirt, your lovely t-shirt you're wearing. So, how often would you do a drop? Do you do it by seasons or?
Aye, so
yeah.
it's done by seasons, but obviously as well, it's kind of done by demand. So I've got a drop actually tomorrow, which is obviously this is never got to be in time for that. So it's a t-shirt Baire Clothing, that was basically like I done a first drop in summer, and it was basically the hottest thing. Sold out right away, and people are
It's the one I'm waiting on.
so that's more. That's 7. Don't miss that. Mate. And then after that, you're looking at so this tee long sleeved, and it's coming in sage green as well. So I thought I would obviously leave off to kind of later in summer because it's got the longer sleeves. And then after that, it's into the cargos, and then we're looking into like autumn winter stuff. And I've kind of teased as well for autumn winter where I'm going to try and go for a full tracksuit.
Nice, mate.
Yeah,
Nice.
so it's going to come in grey and black. So like marrow grey. It's going to be the hoodie, custom fit.
You're coming into tracksuit season then. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We're going to start getting a wee bit colder as well.
Exactly.
And you know, especially in Renfrewshire, we all have a trackie.
Aye,
To be fair,
we
so
do. So I'm hoping that's going to be hot, mate.
no, I think that's brilliant. And which are, I know we kind of spoke about it, and you've said it's absolutely fine to do so. What's your kind of prices and things that you would start at for somebody
So-
that's first time hearing about Baire?
Cheapest thing on the website will be a cap, 35 quid. Then you would look at tees. So for just a blank tee, probably about £50. For a short sleeve tee with a design, 60. For this long sleeve one, 65. And then the next thing up would be cargos, which are sitting at 75. Hoodies are anywhere from 80 90, and bottoms will be about 70 80.
And it's all quality goods as well. You know what I mean?
And I know sometimes I've not came for money, so I know to sit here and say 80 £90 for a garment, people will are you kidding? But it is genuinely worth it.
And I think it is as well. I'm the same as you. I wasn't brought up on designer gear or anything like that. I wasn't brought up in it. I mean, I grew up in Pollock, which was a bit a rough area, and those that are listening probably know what I'm talking about. My mum would literally batter me if I went out with a trackie on. It was jeans or nothing pretty much in my house, and it was one of the ones. And I wasn't fussed on it. And even now, my brother, he's not fussed on it, which I'm surprised at because kids these days are going mental, especially for other stuff.
They go to school.
They go to school with designer gear on, and I'm like, if you want to go and buy something that everybody else is wearing, you're talking. I mean, there's a brand that's kind of going out about the new Represent.
Massive, mate.
Massive. And I think I looked on it and it's like £200 or something for a t-shirt, if I'm right, or a jumper or something like that.
It'd probably be like some of the outerwear.
Just like it's mental.
I don't wear Represent. Well, I try to stay away from Represent because everybody wears them.
And that's like me. I'm just like it's not because I'm like, oh, I'm cool, I don't want to follow the crowd and stuff like that. It's nothing like that at all. But I'm just like, literally, I went to Ibrox for the Rangers Newcastle game, and I'm no joking.
You're one of us then.
I'm one of good guys. I literally looked into the crowd, and everybody was kicking about in a blue Represent.
Aye.
hoodie.
It's just the one.
It
Just says
just
Represent.
Represent on it.
And it's that again. I actually do really like the brand. I love. See, I'm right into like the.
I can appreciate it.
I
100%.
follow the owners in that, and the two of them are unbelievable. Like from what they came from to what they've grown, and they've actually it represents like a cult, mate. Like, see, the weekend there, they done a sample sale in Manchester, and the owner George Heaton is into fitness, mad fitness fanatic. And he said to everybody before the sale, he's got to do a 5k run. 300 odd people followed him through the streets of Manchester running. That's unbelievable.
We bit like Forrest Gump.
Aye.
It just starts running, everybody follows.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Like,
well, it's like a brand that I like, and I feel like it's now starting to get mainstream as well. Is Arnie,
aye.
and things like that. Arm, is that Arm? Have I been calling it wrong this whole time? My bad. I like Arm, and I like them for their shoes, stuff like that. Would that be something you'd be looking for? in the future? Like maybe going into shoe wear,
Nah,
footwear?
nah, I'm not. For me, like I know I says I try to stay away from designer stuff, but for me, like I would never.
Kind of stick to what you like.
I
Yeah.
I would never try and create a shoe because I think I would just ruin it. Like I like my certain shoes, and that's I feel shoes can really make an outfit, so I try
Yeah.
and stick to the stuff I like. I would not go into shoes. I don't think.
In the hopes that they would then accessorize yours, your
Compliment my stuff.
yeah,
Aye.
it would just enhance
Aye.
your sort of stuff. Because one thing I do like is all your visuals and things, especially on your website. Did you organise that kind of full photo shoot? I believe you've got like one model who's been doing it and stuff
so
like
that's my barber. Aye.
Is that your barber?
Aye, barber and good pal now. Aye, and model.
That's brilliant. So
Aye,
you've managed. He's literally wearing all the hats,
Aye,
ticking all the boxes.
He's brilliant. Dropper of hats kind of stuff. But if I need him, he's just there. And so I basically just again on Google looking for a studio to do a shoot and come across this one in Glasgow. And it fitted the vibe that I was looking for. Like I said, I'm into like neutral tones and stuff like that. And the backdrop was.
I don't think you could have picked a better place. It looks good.
Unbelievable, mate. To be honest, I've actually seen other brands doing it since, and it's class. And then just wee things like just incorporating a chair into a photo and a carpet. If you've seen some of the photos,
the accent here, there, and everywhere.
Aye, and it was just these wee things, and it just made the shoot brilliant. It just honestly, I couldn't have went any better.
It looked class. That's it was it's one of the things when I think of your clothing brand. That's I picture that image in my head, that vibe and that style, and I think that's a credit to whoever's shot that as well. Whoever's did that is.
Aye, the photographer was spot on as well. I genuinely couldn't fault the guy.
No, brilliant, mate. One thing we touched upon it is social media. Yep. It's a big thing, especially when it comes to selling your brand. So, what socials can we find you on? And how do you go about your kind of average day with socials? Because, like we said, you were obviously nervous about doing videos and things like that, especially maybe introducing who you were and who runs. You know what I mean, Baire. So, what's the socials and what's the situation?
Similar again to where you can buy them. So we're on Instagram, and we're on TikTok, and we've obviously got the website. TikTok, I've only recently just started. Like I said, when I started the brand, it was basically nobody knew who ran Baire. Like I had kept it like so private. I kind of thought that I know we spoke about it earlier. I thought that I bought this stock, and because I knew it was good, everybody knew it was good, and it was just got to fly off the shelves, and everybody's got to buy it, and that just wasn't happening. And I was like, what am I doing wrong here? And I just wasn't self-promoting. I was so caught up in caring what I thought people were going to think about the brand. I think it's such a thing in like Scotland that see if you do something different, people will try and bring you down.
We were talking about this in one of the other podcasts. I don't know if it was on camera or off camera, and it was Gemma who runs Paint Media. And we were talking about how when you do this sort of thing, there is this stigma in Scotland where people just judge you instantly for what you're doing. If it's different, if it's no what the masses are doing like that, you're standing out. You're doing your own clothing business. How many people do you hear doing that, especially in this area, doing that and it becoming successful as well? So people are just automatically doing your throat already.
So that was pretty much it, mate. And I had severe anxiety about it, like coming out and like just basically saying who it was. But I knew that I just had to do it because the brand was never going to grow any further if I didn't put myself out.
How could it be personal?
Exactly. I remember even one night I was sitting like a night out with one of my pals getting drunk, and I was upset and all that because I was like, I'm so stressed out with this, and he's like, why? And seeing I look back now, mate, it's actually laughable that I was so stressed
silly
out. It's so silly
that
mate.
Something like that has stopped you from doing your dream.
And I was saying, and then I just started to speak to other people, and they're like, you need to go on this social thing. And then one of my pals, he's recently started as a barber, and he one morning just done an Instagram live video, basically saying he started this barbering and how he was going to do this and do that. And I was speaking to him in the morning. I says, mate, I need to do that as well. And then it was genuinely like, packed my girlfriend at the house the next morning and just made a video. And ever since I've just been relentless on TikTok, and the brand has just grown.
So you're starting to get a bit more comfortable.
Aye,
you're not having to kick her at the house now.
Aye, I'll wait till she goes to work now, and then I start to make TikToks. But they're not perfect. They'll never be perfect, and you'll know because you'll need to edit all this kind of stuff. you'll never get it right first time.
Nah.
Like, I think you see stuff on the internet and you think, wow, that's really good, but
that's a short snippet of something that, yeah, it looks good within this whole, like, you know, I mean, we've recorded this now probably, I'm not sure how long it's been going on for, but you know what I mean, there's bits of this podcast even still that you'll be like, it's not as good as what other parts are, but the main thing is the message that comes across it. And I think when you're capturing those wee bits like your TikTok, I mean, for me, one of your best ones that you did was when you had your t-shirt and you were putting the labels on it. I thought that's so personal. Like, when do you see people like that doing it? Because, like, to be honest, these bigger organisations and companies and things, they've got a full team doing that. Whereas the man who's selling the product is putting the bloody labels on.
The amount of people that messaged me saying, I can't believe that needs done, was unbelievable.
There's just so much more to selling about clothing than what you think. Like,
and that's what, see the first TikTok I done, like the reveal. I actually made that review to that. Like, I duetted that the day, just saying, like, because that's been like 2 months, and I can't believe it's been such a quick 2 months. And that's what I said in that. Like, I'm going to show you stuff behind the scenes, because, as well, like we spoke about, I knew nothing about how to start, and see if I could help one person start this, then I genuinely would like to do that.
And I think you will. I think you will probably be. I think you'll be an inspiration, definitely, to people, especially now getting out of their comfort zone and wanting to do things that are so different, especially in the area. I wish that people would just get after a high horse and just do something. And what I would say is encourage your friends, encourage the people that are wanting to try something different. Like, just you might not agree with it, but go with them for the ride. You know what I mean? This is something that they've got a passion in. You know what I mean? You've got to support your friends, and I think like that you're now working with other businesses as well, so you're also supporting them, but they're supporting you and your journey as well, which I think just grows your business as a whole and probably you as a person.
That was one of the things at the start of this year. I made some promises to myself that I was going to get better at promoting the brand, networking, and spending more time on myself. And genuinely, like, I feel I'm ticking all the boxes. Like, I would never have come on this podcast a year ago. No way. And I just know, see anything that's going to escalate this brand and put it where I want it to go, I'll do it.
Do you know what? It's funny. I sit and watch you, and I'm like, I can see it happening. I can see Baire becoming something bigger and stuff like that, and I can see it becoming like, because at the minute it might just be around this kind of area, but I can see this becoming something big in the UK, mate. 100%.
Genuinely hope that, mate.
And I think
I
you
hope
will.
in a couple of years' time we're looking back on this.
I think you've got the right mentality when it comes to it as well. I think you've got a good work ethic, but I think you've also got a good look for the word here, like your personality and stuff like that comes through with it as well. And you're a nice guy as well. You're not one to screw at the guys, you know what I mean? Because people might be saving up their hard-earned money that they go and work for week in, week out to buy your product.
Mate, I buy the products. Like, I don't even, like, people might think, oh, you're on a clone band, you just take all the stuff.
I'll just wear it. I
mean, I buy the stuff. So, like, see if it's 60 quid for a t-shirt. Like, Baire's a separate entity to me. So I actually buy the products as well. Like, I don't take... You'll actually find as well, right? See the samples. So, like, see if I get something sampled, I'll wear the samples some of the time. So I don't even have the good stuff that other people have.
The real high.
Do you know what I mean? I've got cargos where all the cargos have got a slit in the pockets, but I made a sample that didn't have slits in the pockets. So if you ever see me wear a blue pair of cargos, they're
a sample pair.
It's a sample pair.
I'll be everybody looking at you know. They'll be like, oh, he's got a sample pair.
The cargos in my neck.
He's only got a slit in mine. His neck. He's like, a wee neck. No, mate, honestly, I wish you nothing but luck with this. I think Baire is going to be massive. I don't think just in Glasgow, I think it's going to be massive, UK, and I would love for you to go worldwide with it. I think it's one of the things that's so different. It's refreshing to see somebody actually go and follow their dreams and their ambitions and do everything. Your clothing as well looks top drawer. I will be trying to fight to get a t-shirt tomorrow. I definitely will. What time did you say? 7?
Aye, 7 o'clock.
Perfect, right. I'll set my alarm. Perfect. I'll get up for that. No bother.
Oh, 7 at night.
Oh, 7 at night? Oh, it was 7 in the morning. I was like, oh, I'm going to have to set an alarm. 7 at night. Right.
No alarm needed, mate, unless you sleep in.
Right. I'll make sure I'm on it. I'll put an alarm on still. Make sure. 5 to 7, whatever. Listen, mate, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Any plans for the future?
Just trying to scale this brand as much as possible, mate. Genuinely, like, I have done absolutely nothing this year but just work on this. don't go night suit or nothing like that. Sitting in the house on this iPad, just trying to make up designs. So got a few things working on, few collaborations with some other businesses and stuff like that. It's quite cool. Looking forward to that, and then we're into winter, and just see where next year takes us. But I hope that there's a lot more sales.
I think you will. I think you will, mate. I think you've got that. You've got it about you. I think you've got it definitely. You can tell with the vibe and your commitment to the brand. I don't think this is one of the ones you just drop.
Definitely new, mate. My commitment is like 100% new. Like, seeing I look back, I was half-arsing it, like, because I was so nervous about what people would think. But see now, I'm neck deep in it, and I'm going on about my neck again.
It's a neck podcast. If I could name it with no bears, I would name it the Neck Podcast, definitely.
The neck, mate.
No, listen, again, thank you very much, mate. Businesses that are maybe looking to collaborate with Baire, highly, I would recommend getting in touch with. You can get them on all social medias, and definitely look out for the drops. I mean, if you don't get it, you will miss out 100%.
You need to subscribe to the website as well, because some of the drops are password only, like we said. So go on the website and subscribe.
I think that makes everything a wee bit more exciting as well. Waiting for a password and then you actually get it and you've got to log in and stuff like
that. I done a drop and somebody actually was sitting on the website waiting for a t-shirt, and it sold out as he was sitting waiting, and he was got it. I felt terrible, genuinely.
Out with your control, mate. You've given them the building blocks, you know what I mean, to do it, and they've knocked them all down. No, listen, thank you so much, mate. For anybody listening to the podcast, if you're listening on YouTube or you're listening on Spotify, YouTube, please feel free to drop a wee subscribe. Let us know if you picked up anything from Baire Clothing. Let us know your favourite product. Check out the website, as I say. And if you're on Spotify, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And you can also hit the follow button, so it means you can catch all the rest of the podcasts from all the businesses in Renfrewshire. But again, Stephen, thanks very much, mate, for coming on.
Not a problem, mate. That was actually really enjoyable.
Glad, mate. I'm glad to see.
I will be back.
Oh, yeah, there we go. We'll make sure a bit of content and then we'll do Studio 23 times Baire.
I see you wearing the hoodie in one of your podcasts.
As soon as we're finished here, I'm getting on. We're getting a picture of it on, definitely. But thanks very much for listening, folks. See you again in the next one. Cheers.